That,
Okay.
okay, all
Let's see.
set.
Yeah, we have a quorum. Because we can't count carolers, you can't count someone on Zoom as the part of the quorum. So, but we do have,
Really?
right,
Hmm, okay.
Interesting.
but that's it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember that can't count somebody on a vote. If they're on Zoom, I had that.
We have to take it, the vote, individually.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
To
yeah,
do it.
yeah. I don't know about the quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems silly that you couldn't at least count it as a quorum. Should be less stringent on that than the vote.
I agree.
Who knows? It's probably somewhere in this horrible book.
Speaking of that, it's just the materials.
This thing is,
And I went to a nice presentation over at the meeting house. A person gave out these books, so I got one for.
Oh, thank you. I guess pass them down.
Yeah.
So
Would you like-
Jean, you're a fairly new member also then to the committee?
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
do.
One more, Shirley,
Pardon me?
one
I
more?
think so.
I gave one to it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
You what?
I just took it out of your hand. Can I have it?
Yes, I brought it for you.
Oh, I like this. Cool.
Perfect.
Where'd you pick this up?
Over the Canaan Meeting House. There was a speaker there that spoke about the.
Oh, I wanted to make it to that.
That was very good. I
Yeah, I had something going on. that
only
night.
made it to two. They have very good ones there.
Mhm.
Some,
Commissioners and
yeah. Yeah, isn't it?
beautiful.
Oh, yes, you know what we heard? When Glenn came home, he said, someone he knows that works part-time, same place he does, who lives on Crystal Lake Road.
Mhm.
Down about halfway to the hill from Algonquin, halfway between.
Mhm.
And he said, I guess it's bear season.
Yeah.
He said his wife shot a bear.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I bet you, I wonder if it's our bear.
Oh,
Because I don't know if it's the same one that goes all around the lake, but we've seen it a lot lately. And, but I wonder if that was a bear that was in our neighbor, could be, cause it'd be right behind, hill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
so
We may not
got it.
see him again. Yeah,
Maybe he was out of town.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we better, call the meeting to order.
So who's this woman that shot it? I don't want to get on her.
I
wrong
don't
side.
know her name, but, it was just someone that Glenn works with, and I don't even know for sure his name, but I don't know they live on, it's, the place where they have eggs for sale.
Oh, okay. $3.50.
So we have three missing, no, two
Two
missing,
missing.
and,
One of-
Carol's on Zoom. We don't have any public here tonight for public comments. So we'll go to the minutes. Do I hear a motion to put them on the table?
So moved.
Second? Anyone have any corrections or?
No, they pretty much cover things. I had one thought, and Jay's not here, but you would probably say, oh, it doesn't matter. He's just so pleasant like that. But under the old Home Days wrap-up report, they mentioned that he had 4 people on his hike, but they don't say anything about the presentation he gave. I think it'd be nice to have
Yeah.
a line in there that he gave a presentation to 20, was it 22 people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that number.
Yeah,
Yes, it was was it 22 or 20? It was in the
it
20s.
was in the 20s.
But, that was, and what was the title of it? Oh, boy,
Yeah,
I have to give you the title for it, Whitney.
Right.
Yeah, because he put a lot.
put a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it should
And
be,
did you notice in the newsletter that they did, publish the picture that he had sent me? I actually sent it in, the conservation one, but, Elisa put it in the old home days, which was the
Mhm.
right thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so anyways, that picture, it was a beautiful picture of the four hikers that were
Oh.
with him.
oh, nice.
Beautiful background. With
Okay.
water and the mountains. It's really nice.
Oh, good.
Would have been a good one to put in the town calendar, but we're not gonna do the town calendar anymore.
Oh, no.
Really?
Decided to, it cost a lot to do it and a lot of time. And, Elisa would rather not do it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, it makes a big difference for me too, because I got all the ads for it.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Do you know what day he did the presentation on?
Yes, the 27th,
The day before the hike, right?
yes,
Yep.
July 27th. I bet I.
Got it. Wild History, does that sound right?
There you go.
Yeah.
50 years of New Hampshire wildlife.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's it.
I'll add it in.
yes, and he did it at the, Performance Center. The Chosen Vale Performance Center there. Good catch, Ed.
Hmm.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he does all of that work. It's nice to
Yeah.
see it
Yeah, that could be, definitely.
saved for the generation.
And you're right, he would say, oh,
He would. That was not a big deal, but it is a big deal.
it
It's
is.
a very big
Yeah.
deal.
Yes, I'd like to see it done again, to offer it to advertise it and do it through sometime during the
Yeah.
year. I think that a lot of people would,
I wanted to go to it. I wanted to listen to it and I had company last minute. Grandson decided to say, we're coming. I'm coming with my girlfriend. I said, okay, we'll be here.
well, I went and did the clicking for him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You were the AV person.
Yeah. So, with, that addition, are there any more corrections or additions? No? Can I hear a motion to accept them?
So moved.
Okay.
I second.
All right.
Now, I'm going to save this in case Kate comes, I hope, because, she was going to do the discussion of the septic system regulations and the select board report.
Mhm.
So, I'm gonna, go on to new business.
Okay.
In case, because I'm hoping that she is coming. If
Yeah.
not, we'll go back to that.
Yep.
But, the first thing we need to do
Do you guys
is,
need to do a roll call vote for?
oh, yes, I'm
minutes?
sorry.
For-
Forgot about it.
Sorry to interrupt you, I was just,
Oh, thank you.
No, no.
Carol, we need to do a roll call vote.
Yep.
You can,
Carol Wyman.
and that's to approve the minutes.
Oh, okay, aye.
We should have done roll call attendance too, shouldn't we?
We can do it all as one and say we did them both. Is that tape?
I think it's a little bit less problematic, right?
Yeah.
So are we doing a roll call or what?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's kind of both, I think.
Doing
Yeah.
them together.
If you say your name, we know you're here.
right.
Jean Gabrowski Hinshaw, aye.
Shirley Green, aye.
Tom Claus, I.
Ed Rippey, aye.
Okay,
Okay.
all set.
Okay.
So the first thing on our new business is that, each year we have to approve a proposed budget to present to the, budget committee. And I made a copy.
Thank you.
Of, our budget. And, our proposed budget last year's at Midwest is 224 budget. Almost the middle is 3,600. And then it shows how much we've spent actually so far. And I'm surprised that the, records, I would have thought we would have spent more than 240 for records, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, And then, so that, we didn't have a lot of expenses in all, and with the part that goes to in our conservation fund was 1,385, and our budget was 3,600. I checked with, we had, 1,000 in for trail maintenance, and I saw Craig recently,
Mhm.
and he said he felt badly, he hadn't gotten in touch with you at that
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
because he hadn't done much on them this summer, but he's planning to do a lot this fall, and there's quite a lot to be done.
Okay,
So he'll be getting in touch with you soon.
oh, good.
But I checked with him to see if he thought 1,000 was enough in there for trail maintenance, and I didn't hear back from him.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that is, and we can always take it from, you can take it from somewhere else. And another thing I noticed too, that I've got to check on, it doesn't show that we've paid our dues to the New Hampshire Conservation Commission. So I got to check on that, because I didn't get any bill for it, but, it doesn't show that we paid them.
Who would write the check? Would you?
I would authorize it to do it, and the
Okay.
town would write the check out of our fund.
Okay,
That's how they do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But, so anyways, I'll check on that to see, because, we've always been a member of it. And it's, a good place to, get education and information and support. So what we need to do, we did increase it slightly last year because we were gonna be doing more trail
Mhm.
maintenance. But, I would say that we could keep it the same this year and not increase it, because we're being asked to try not to increase our
Okay.
budgets unless we had a real plan, reason to do it. I can't see doing it, but
yeah,
And we've got, is it calendar year,
yes,
January one?
yes,
So,
yeah, we don't vote
Yeah.
on it till March,
yeah,
but,
so we have a few
all
more
that-
months of expenditure, and it sounds like the trails might get more attention
yes,
in the fall, so,
right.
yeah,
you know, we'll eke up some.
And then
So I
another,
think it's reasonable, yeah.
yeah, and then another 1,000 will be put in proposed for next year
Yeah.
in case we need it.
yeah.
So-
So we should do something this fall to use that money and.
Well, he probably will. He
Yeah.
mentioned, I can't remember exactly where, there's several bridges and things like that and on the trails that
Mhm.
need to be replaced.
Yeah,
Really?
and so minus $105 means that
You know, that must
eight
have
hundred
been-
ninety-five has been spent.
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
So, and we've still got, he says he hasn't done much,
Mhm.
and we've still got more of the year, so we might go over that 1,000, right?
Right, whereas we can always take it, see, we have quite a bit left on meeting and hearing.
Yeah.
So you're able to use it from another line if you need to.
Yeah.
Cause we wanna try not to go over. If we needed to, it would be better to wait till next year.
Do you know why there was a credit for
Yeah.
trail maintenance?
I'm confused on that.
It's a credit.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a donation or, I don't know, I'd have to check into that. They could tell me at the, town office, I'm sure, but,
So we really
one
haven't
of them
spent
takes
anything.
care of revenue and one takes care of expenditures and, but, yeah, I don't know. Unless there was, I don't know. I have no idea,
Yeah.
you know, unless we bought something and didn't need it all and took it back. I have no idea.
That's the only thing I can think of
Yeah.
that would be strange.
Yeah. And Craig might know. I was hoping he
Mhm.
might come tonight, but, but anyways,
Do you think that'd be a good idea to have him come at the next meeting?
good.
I mean, I'm thinking that way Ed and I can meet him.
Yes,
Yeah.
And also if he's looking at doing trail maintenance in the fall, we can, at the meeting,
Yeah.
maybe have him, present what needs,
He's
what
planning to
what he's
do.
planning on doing. I think it'd be good,
Mhm.
just
That'd be good,
just a good
And a
idea.
timeframe.
yeah, I expected he might be here tonight to talk about that,
Right.
because I saw him at the library and we talked
Mhm.
about it. But,
We're both gonna be away for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
mhm.
But then I'm around after that.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm gonna be gone, Columbus Day weekend.
Mhm.
But.
Yeah.
But except for that, I'm here.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that'd be great if we could do that. And I agree. I mean, I second Gene's and your, whoever wants to,
Okay, so we should
propose
make
it.
a motion.
yeah,
Because
Okay.
I have to turn it into the budget committee
Make a motion for the budget.
to, keep the, same budget.
for
as-
2025 as 2024.
Yeah,
Yep.
So someone make official motion.
I'll make an official motion to make the 2025 budget the same as 2024 budget.
and I'll second it.
All in favor? Carol? Jean, yeah, say your name.
Jean Kowalski Hinchot, aye.
Yeah, Shirley Green, aye.
Tom Claus, aye.
Ed Rippey, aye.
And should we say what the amount is just for the?
Yes, 3,600. Good.
Hey, Carol,
Yeah,
when Craig comes next month and talks about trail maintenance, would be a good time to bring up your suggestion that you brought up last month about creating an educational trail?
yeah.
Maybe that's something we could do.
I have
Yeah.
something that might tie in with that right now, actually. Uh, go ahead, Carol.
I actually had a meeting with Jim Taylor and went over the parcel that I'm most interested in off of Main Street. And, just kind of to make an area for birders and photographers and artists so that they could oversee that pond. And have an area to go to paint or take pictures, and then also have trails around it with identifying markers for the things that are of interest in that area for the school kids. But I understand that it's a huge birder place, and it's just not accessible for the majority of the year. So we'd have to make it accessible. It's going to be a long process just to find out, how to go about this, because it's like putting in an estuary without the ocean. It's that's kind of what I'm reaching for. But I thought its proximity to the new park and downtown, the drive-in would be really, I think, beautiful, beyond words, because it would identify us as a conservation area interested in, doing this sort of thing, and it would, I don't know, I envision it being there. Whether it's realistic or not, I'm not sure, but Jim Taylor is on board.
Oh,
I
good.
think it's a great idea, Carol.
Yeah,
And many years ago now, I would say maybe 10, we had a bird expert come and for the Conservation Commission, and we also invited other people to come and to take us to an area where she could identify, hi Kate, good to see you. And where she could identify birds and all different kinds of birds like that, where there was a lot of them, and that's where she took us, right there.
Ah,
So you have chosen a very good place.
yeah. Well, it has always appealed to me just because of its proximity. I could just see, new people driving through Enfield and seeing Lakeside Park and, how beautiful that's become. And then right next to it is this, I still want to call it an estuary because that defines what it is I'm looking to do. But
Yeah.
even though it's not on the ocean, but, and then the new development downtown with the brewery going in and new apartments and everything. I think, it'll present a really nice image for
Oh, yes. It's a great location and it's got what you want there
Yeah,
to make it. Yeah.
But I
Okay, we-
interrupted you. You said that you had an idea as well.
Well, it wasn't mine. The gardener, person who's in charge of the gardens at the Shaker Museum came to me. And the first thing she wanted to, ask was that she was hoping that the Conservation Commission would like to set up their tent and have a booth in the garden
Mhm.
at the Shaker Harvest Festival.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Wouldn't that be good?
that would be good.
Yes. And then another thing, she'd like to partner with us on a lot of things going on in the garden and also on the property there. She would also like to start a pollinator garden on the other side behind the stone mill, which it's really called, it's a machine shop, but I can't get used to calling it the machine shop myself. But it's where we know it as a stone mill, to put in a garden back there. But she'd like to partner with a group like us, the Conservation Commission, or, and so she was asking us first. And she's a person, she has lots of ideas. and
Yeah.
Does a lot of things. She's done a lot of things for the museum. And she was also hoping there might be someone who would like to speak on the need for native plants and how they support pollinators.
Hmm.
Hopefully from the Conservation Commission.
Hmm.
So anyone may be interested in thinking about that. But what do you think about the starting with having the booth at the Harvest Festival? Is anybody gonna be available
When?
around that?
When is that?
It's September 21st.
Well,
2 weeks.
you've already got me working there, so if you want me to do the booth instead, I can do that.
Well, hopefully there'll be some other commission members ready, available to do the booth too. But I will see if, we'll see. If I have to give you up at the activity I've got you on, I will have to do that.
Yeah.
I have a work party at my house, like we're pouring concrete, so,
Yeah.
but I would be happy to support whoever's doing the booth by doing some of the, like printing and design for whatever publications you guys want to do to help set up, so I could certainly do that to provide some support on the back end.
That would be great. Yeah.
And I'm gonna be in Washington State until
Yeah.
the 24th, so I'm gonna help. That's,
Having a good time. I hope.
yeah, oh yeah, with children and grandchildren.
I'll be in Europe, actually.
You were.
Mhm.
Wow, look at us, that's a
Wow.
busy weekend, huh?
Yeah. How about you, Gina? You around?
I'm not sure.
And of course, we'll have to check with Jay.
Mhm.
I will be there all day, but I'm the volunteer coordinator, so I'm pretty busy.
Well, I wonder too, could we set it up so it's something where it kind of runs itself, you know what I mean? It has some of our pictures and
Mhm.
we have it just set so people could help themselves, say to like a seed packet or,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not as exciting as having a person there,
Right.
but
There's something, yeah.
yeah, because I was hoping, we might be able to come up with an activity for kids too.
Yeah,
But
well, like I have a ton of native pollinator seeds and buckets, like you could do a bucket of dirt, and
They
have
can
them
plant.
plant. You can do winter planting, right? So you put it outside and in a secure place with like some fall leaves or whatever, and they grow in the spring. The only thing is you would probably want to buy some composted soil, right? Like, just in case.
well, I have to show you. Trent planted this before my grandson,
Mhm.
the sunflower.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
And I've been standing beside it since they left to show him how much it's grown. So kids love to plant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, even if we just give them.
Sunflowers are fun.
They are.
And it was down to about my waist. when I got
Wow,
it.
yeah, it got really tall.
And I haven't taken one today. Today it's in full bloom.
Oh, nice.
So I got to send it to him.
Like I have bee balm,
My
primarily bee balm and
grandchildren
rudbeckia,
were
but, those would be something, even if you didn't do it as a planting activity, if you gave it as a seed packet,
Yeah,
you know, a little envelope.
Yeah.
yes,
Activity.
Just so that they could take it home and
yes.
either
and do-
scatter it where they want, or,
That's a great idea.
I mean, it's a
Yes, it
simple,
Yeah.
super simple, and it's an easy,
Just something that they can do at our booth, you know?
yeah.
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 Now remember,
Or
Yes.
maybe, and maybe we do it as make your own pollinator packet and you say, pick some from each, like pick the ones you want, make your own envelope, I don't know.
And I will try to find someone to take Carol's place, so at least she'll be there. And maybe you will be able to.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And Jay may be able to be.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing we could ask, our trail master if maybe they were interested in being there with some of, like, you know, we do have a map in town,
Yes,
and maybe some of the volunteer. So,
that sounds, yes, that sounds good. Because people are very interested in trails. And at the same time, we can also mention for children, the story walk that's just over at the athletic field too.
Yeah.
That they can go there. But, no, those are good ideas to make our booth
Mhm.
stand out.
Mhm.
Yeah. And she wants it in the garden where we.
Mhm.
And so she'll, do you want to think about participating in the other things? Like, you know, someone preparing something to speak on the pollinators or helping with the garden? Do a garden, a pollinator garden? That we would get
Mhm.
recognition for that too, which would be great, and also partnering.
Mhm.
When would that be done?
I would imagine she would do that. That was probably in the spring, I would
Yeah.
surmise.
Yeah, it depends on whether she wants to do a fall planting, cause
Yeah.
if we fall planted, like, and chip in, so if you make like a bed and you chip it in, you can chip in your buckets of pollinator type flowers and have them, you winter sow them, and so they get the freeze that they need, and then they come in
Mhm.
earlier, like it's, you know, it's. They don't always come up, right, if it doesn't go well, but, there's a lot of good information online about winter sowing. I've had good luck with winter sowing, but it does take a little bit of preparation, so we could potentially winter sow in the area and buckets so that what doesn't come up doesn't matter. You pull the buckets away and then you,
We wouldn't have to do it all. She has,
No.
you know, a lot of volunteers. She would just like to partner with the Conservation
Mm.
Commission because she feels like, you know, we're similar to.
Yeah.
I have a lot of landscaping buckets if they did wanna do winter sowing, so we wouldn't have to. But I think in terms of, I try not to transport soil around town in general, just because of pathogens and different invasives. So like, I don't have jumping worms yet, so I try not to bring them in, but I also have,
Mm.
I have a soldier weed, which is really, really annoying. So I would never wish it on anybody else.
So do you recommend that we should get bagged soil?
Well, they may have a compost pile or whatever
Oh,
that they're
yes.
using from their own space.
They probably do.
So, yeah, and that's what I'm thinking is like, let them control kind of the soil and what's on there so that it's nice and safe. But if they were interested, I definitely I have more than enough flowers to
Cause
share.
I should feel confident that, you know, there's a lot of
Mhm.
trails there and we have 27 more acres.
Mhm.
That she would love to see
Mhm.
us mark
Mhm.
different native plants on the trails for people to recognize too.
I think like bee balm is a native, but it also can be used to make herbal tea and a lot of different, yeah, and so, cause it's in the mint family, right? So it's pretty prolific. Putting it somewhere like there where it's up against the field, it's not gonna take over the fields. It would be enjoyable, and it wouldn't be
So I should probably ask her to come and talk with us too.
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
That
I
would
would
be a
be-
good idea.
Yeah.
She's amazing I don't think I've ever seen the gardens look as good as they do now.
Oh,
Oh, they're
yeah,
beautiful.
they are really.
Yeah,
What's her name?
Susan Quinlan.
Mhm. And she's
Yeah, she's a great
incredibly
asset
talented
to
at
the-
making wreaths and stuff.
Oh, yeah, she's making those now. She's got a group that's helping.
Mhm.
She'll have
Mhm.
loads of them at the Harvest
Mhm.
Festival.
I think the other thing, just in a larger sense, not just at the museum, but it's thinking about whether or not we as a group might want to be interested in trying to stand up a garden club. Like, it doesn't have to be us, but if we were
Mhm.
standing up an auxiliary kind of garden club to take over some of the, spots around town and maybe solicit sponsorship. So it's not us doing all the work, it's us
Right.
developing it, and maybe XYZ family
Supporting
or
it.
company, you give them a little sign and they do a spot. Ian Lebanon does a really nice job of that, and Hanover does as well.
Right, because then the biggest thing we need to do is get companies to participate in.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
could be a company or it could be a family, and there's a little bit of, it's pride having your name on it, but there's also a little bit of accountability, like, this is we did and you did it.
Yeah.
Right, it's a little bit of both, so I think that there's gonna be a lot of opportunities around town to do some of those
And
things.
it's nice to bring the community together.
Yeah,
That. Um,
So I-
So-
they're thinking of us and asking us to
Yeah.
do this too.
Yeah.
I'd be
Oh, I
very
was so
interested in-
pleased. Yeah,
I would-
pardon me.
I would be very interested in being involved in that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So do you think we should take a vote that we would like to proceed and do a booth starting out, but also we're very interested in doing the other things?
Sure.
I think we can
People
just agree to
develop
it.
Those ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, unless anyone's opposed, I think you can just agree to it. Without,
And just what?
agree to it without even,
Okay,
I think.
well,
you
let's
can.
do that then.
We're not allocating any money, so.
Right. We did, you didn't see, I think you got a copy of the budget. We just
Mhm.
approved, proposing this budget be the same this year as it was last year.
Mhm.
And we're gonna ask, I talked with Craig, I'm just going quickly what we just,
Yeah.
I talked with Craig Sanborn and I'm gonna ask him to come in next month and talk to us about, because when I talked with him, he said he hadn't done much this summer, but he has a lot on the agenda to do this fall.
Mhm.
So, he's going to come in. I'll invite him to come in and hopefully he can the next meeting to talk with us about it, because Ed and Tom want to help him.
Mhm.
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 And we'll be back for more trips in early October.
That's good.
Raring to go, right?
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Chainsaws and shovels or whatever.
So that's,
Yes.
that's very exciting. So, and then, let's see, I was gonna ask, well, why don't we skip back to, skipped over the discussion of the proposed septic system regulations
Mhm.
in your report, Kate.
Yeah, so my report would cover that. So I was remiss in not thinking to forward you guys a copy, so I'll send it to Rob.
Oh, you mean of the,
The new ones, did you get a copy?
This is
yes,
all one.
they,
Yeah.
they'll send a
Got the
copy.
old.
Yeah, we'll send out a new copy. I'll ask Rob to send that around. There were just some basic changes from the
I've
layer.
got the new copy,
Okay, oh, you do.
yeah.
And so one of the big changes, which we had talked about here, and I think everyone had agreed on in general, was that the fine that we'd started out with was pretty low. And so, the fine is actually prescribed in the RSAs and it is up to $1,000 a day, which surprised me, but I don't think it's a bad surprise. Yep, but the idea is, right, in this town, you come in, you're actively working on something. We don't penalize our neighbors and friends for fun,
No.
right? So I think if you're gonna have a conversation, it's not gonna be like you start getting 1,000.
It says up to.
Yeah, and so the same kind of conversation happened around, exceptions and the need for exceptions. So this is gonna go to public hearing at the first October meeting, and so I was just in the office talking to them about it. So it's gonna be the first October meeting of the select board, which I'm gonna pull you the date because we are not gonna ask my memory. And I apologize for being late. I took a nap and didn't get up. It's like, I won't lie to you. I really did I'm like, oh, I took a nap.
I don't think you need to take a nap.
Oh, I really needed that nap, but I really needed to set a timer. I did not do that. Poor adulting on my part. So the first October meeting is the 7th, is it? Okay, I believe you. Yep, October 7th at 6 p.m. We'll go to public hearing. I also talked to Ed.
Where will that be?
It will be here unless for some reason they decide they need a
Okay.
lot, but we really just don't have a larger venue that has decent acoustics. That will probably happen when we have our new library in town.
You know, that Chosen Vale Performance Center is really good though.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
And, the acoustics are good in there.
Yeah,
and
they
there's
are.
Plenty of seating and
Mhm.
the stage, and there's a.
The dais, yeah, whatever it's called.
Screen you can just roll. You pull back the sides and the screen's right there.
That's something to consider. I think that probably since this is our usual venue, that's what they'll notice. I
Yeah.
think the notice will go up in the next couple of days. I did talk to them briefly about how we reach out to people who are stakeholders. And so certainly there'll be some wide outreach to get stakeholders to come and talk to us. Last night, the conversation, there was a little bit of new questions that were very, very good. One was really, I thought, very interesting. It was, we've been talking about pumping and inspection when really we should be talking about inspection and pumping
Yes.
from an operations standpoint. And I was like, right, because I'm a very literal person, so that made a lot of sense. And that's why we talk to people in groups and we work on things together. So there's a few little tweaks like that, and then some conversation around outlining why we might give an exception. Instead of it just being like, we might give an exception. So that's new, and I will send that on to you. Be interesting to see what the public comes back with, because I know, folks are nervous. If they, they're like, well, we don't have a fancy new state-of-the-art system.
I think we're hearing the ones who are nervous.
Yeah,
The big group that came and want
Yeah.
this, they, they're not coming back. to-
Right. And I think that's important. And I think there's a certain amount of, we don't have a fancy new system. Well, just because you don't have a fancy new system doesn't mean you fail. So I think just doing some education, having some of those conversations, you could have people have their brand new system fail. Right? It happens when it's not populated properly with bacteria. So it's really more a matter of, and that's why this is so important, to have this conversation and to educate people.
And see, that's the thing with an old system that
Yeah.
isn't been used, that's the one that it could be not populated with bacteria.
And you could have a brand new system that didn't get started up and didn't,
Yeah.
so I didn't know these things either. And so I think it's super fair for us to have these conversations. So I hope if you guys want to come, you can absolutely participate as an individual, just there can't be any board or commission agreement on things, but if you're interested in coming, I'd certainly encourage you to do so. And that discussion should start right around 6 o'clock. I can't remember if we have another public hearing notice, but if we do, it'll be sequential. The other item that was interesting that conservation was mentioned on last night was Shakoma Beach. We were talking a little bit about
Oh, yeah.
the current state of Shakoma Beach. We're having a lot of washouts. It's not the 70s. You don't roll a truck in and dump sand that goes into the lake, right? It's not good for the lake. And so just talking about what we could do to potentially build some tiers in. So there was a grassed area, a tier, and that the sand would be held back by that grassed area potentially. So you'd still have that play at the beach feel. You'd have the sand kind of protected from going further downhill, and then you'd have the natural lake sand and gravel at the bottom. So something, and this is just a really early idea. The select board sent it on to recreation, and the Recreation Commission can develop the idea. Obviously, it's not done in a bubble. So they'll be working with the recreation director, operations, obviously Ed and his team. And then if it requires capital funding, which is likely, it would go to CIP, obviously through budget. And so this is not a project where like Methodist Hill or like the Johnston Drive beach area where we put a timeline on it. It's something that we've asked them to start. We're not in a big hurry, but it's something that needs to be taken care of. Conservation was mentioned, and well, of course, I was like, hey, rain garden, but and just about what we could do from a conservation standpoint to weigh in.
Well.
Shakoma Beach,
Mhm.
just for clarification,
That is
To-
the town beach.
the town beach, which is by the bridge,
Yeah, that little
right
corner,
to the left there as you're gonna cross the bridge.
the little
No.
corner across from the boat launch.
Yeah,
But I
okay.
was pleased that there were people who thought Conservation Commission should have input, because we should.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the environmental side.
Yeah. And I think that everybody is looking at this from a standpoint of being really helpful, which is really exciting to me.
Sure.
Like, we're all in the same boat, rowing together. So just what can we do to make it accessible and fun and usable while still respecting the environment, which is not what used to happen. I think we've learned a lot. I said this 2 select board meetings ago. You know, we used to build a sandcastle, run all the water downhill and run it into the lake. We know a lot about not doing that now, right?
Yeah.
But it takes a long time to teach everybody. So,
People always used to feed the ducks.
oh my gosh, don't get me started on those ducks. We did not feed the ducks because we knew what happened.
Yeah, but I mean, there have been people.
I know.
That was a wonderful pastime.
Yeah, but you know, maybe we can contribute something along the lines of looking at New Hampshire lakes and some of the plants they recommend. I know you guys have a lot more experience with that than I do, but blueberry bushes, for an example, are something you can plant along the shore that helps filter, and maybe we can get something fun there. Maybe it doesn't have to be a blueberry bush because you
yeah,
probably don't
there's a
want to
lot of
attract
good-
animals, but you know, some kind of native plants where it's okay if the kids pick them and they die, but they do their job. And maybe make it a little nicer and brighter. There's certainly, especially in the hill kind of area, a good opportunity. I think the other big concern that has been voiced many times in front of the select board and was addressed last night was people have driven onto the beach, which just sounds ridiculous, but they do, and it's very dangerous. And so the potential for maybe considering some kind of planters, a little bit like what Lebanon has, so that it's aesthetically nice, and maybe some opportunities for flower plantings. That might be another spot to see about getting some natives. And
Good
Yeah.
activity for the garden club.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunities here to do some pretty basic stuff that, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. I'm trying to think, the previous select.
Okay,
Yes,
you brought up rain gardens. Do you know whatever happened to that committee that we met about, like in January?
yeah. Well, yes and no. It got delayed. There were some personal reasons for delaying. And I think right now that the focus has been largely on Lakeside Park. And that we haven't gone back around to it. So I think we need to get to that. I was
Yeah.
hoping, but the area that kind of had the garden we were talking about, Lakeside Park, kind of turned into part of the traffic circle, I think. So definitely need to go back. I
It's a
can,
good place to do it. There's actually, several years ago, I used to work with a group of at-risk teenagers.
Hmm.
And that was one of the things that we did. It was part of New Hampshire Lakes. And, was one time, we did a rain garden at the Canaan Street Beach. And, it's a great place to have a rain garden because there's generally some runoff there.
Mhm.
And if you put one, where it's gonna stop that runoff, it's good.
Yeah.
And
2 select board meetings ago, we talked about I think it's a walk a mile in their shoes that would run along the trail that we were given some federal grant funding for along New Hampshire Route 4A, and it would run it would tie downtown to the Shaker Village, basically, more or less, or the Shaker Village acquisitions. So what we've learned is there's no possible way to do the build out in the time for the feds, and they knew that when they gave us the money. Haha. But you are allowed to do the pre-engineering. And so Pathways came in 2 select board meetings ago, and we looked at, do you want to be within the 50-foot, the 100-foot, the 250-foot? And obviously being further from the lake is preferable, both from an engineering standpoint, and I'd say from an environmental standpoint. So we're looking at being up on top of where they've kind of run that sewer line, where there's kind of a natural walking area
Yeah.
anyway. So,
for the byways.
For the byway.
Yes, oh, yeah.
right, and so that is in the process of being engineered, and I thought everybody was on the same page on the location. And I just mentioned, as the water is running off the hill, the state has a tendency to send it straight into the lake, which we've talked about here. And so I raised that to Pathways and said, could we stop it, collect it with a series of rain gardens and drive it down into the ground to be filtered? And he was very receptive of that. So the gentleman from Pathways. So I thought that was, a nice, and it's an opportunity also for conservation. I know rain gardens aren't going to save us, but I think driving any kind of dirt and silt directly into the lake needs to stop whenever we can.
Mhm.
And I realized it was a long-standing, like, oh, hey, this is efficient. Let's put it downhill into the hole. But now we know that isn't helpful.
When you think, back in the
Yeah.
day, all the mills went into lakes.
Yeah.
Sure, and the
uh,
septic too.
We know better than that.
Yeah, yeah, and so we've learned, I'm not faulting any, but I think, it was another opportunity for conservation. Other than that, just updates on the building projects, they're going as planned, we're looking at Whitney Hall
Has anyone
expansion.
driven by Whitney Hall? You need to, it
It
looks
looks very nice.
beautiful.
The painting on the outside is largely complete. The new windows are in. Inside, a lot of the sheetrock is up. They're headed towards paint in much of the new area on the inside. And so that's looking like the timing is on track. The other good
So
news was
timing is on track to be done when?
in, hopefully fall, early winter.
Yeah.
Yep.
This year?
Yeah, this year. Yep, which is on track, which is great. I think the other things that are kind of exciting are we had left some contingency funds because when you open up an old building and you go into the ceiling, you don't know what you're gonna find.
Mhm.
And what we found was better than we expected,
Yeah.
which is great news. So there was a section of the stage that had been burnt and was kind of hanging in the air and not really stable. They fixed that. That was unfortunate. I was like, gosh, I don't remember anyone mentioning a fire at the back of the building, but here we are.
Probably long before.
Oh, it was obviously, I mean, it was well before they put the they must have seen it when they put the elevator in and just, I don't remember anything being said, but I would have been like 17, 18 years old, but usually, I was downtown a lot, I was like, oh. So, but they also didn't find like a bunch of asbestos, which is always
Yeah,
something,
right.
right, or a bunch of lead.
Yeah.
So there's some funds there that are freeing up to cover some of the other expenses, like the elevator that we'd really like to do.
Because we were over budget and now, thank
Yeah.
goodness, because of that condition, we're not. That's wonderful.
Well, and so the elevator is outside of the budget. It's not to change it to three-phase. Three-phase uses less power, is more efficient and runs faster. So that was something that the select board decided to figure out how to manage into the project, even though it wasn't in the original project, 'cause we felt it was worth. The three-phase power was run, and we're very lucky. We got an easement across 2 properties without exchange of money. So we've been very fortunate to get that done. And the power company was, I think, very happy to bring it down onto Main Street. It's much easier for them to come straight down than it is for them to come and dig up the whole street. So they were able to do that and get it in before the state came through with pavement, which is always another great one because you're not digging up new pavement. The optics on that are really bad and it's a bad choice. So that's great news. And then the public safety building is ever so slightly behind, running mechanicals, and they expect to hopefully make that up, but it's not anything earth shattering. And so that's all good news that I've got. And if you guys have questions, or you can always catch the whole meeting online on YouTube.
So the end date for the public safety building target is probably 2025,
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah,
2025,
May,
and I can't,
June.
yeah, it's mid-year.
really.
I don't remember the exact target date, but I just remember it being the middle of the
Well,
year.
that's what, I'm on that committee,
Yeah,
but,
I know you are. I'm like, your memory is probably better than mine this.
well, not always. But
Well-
I just heard that again recently,
Mhm.
they think it will be done in May or June.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a lot can happen between now and then.
Mhm.
Things have gone very smoothly on Whitney Hall.
Yeah,
They could, because see, at one time, the safety complex was gonna go first.
Mhm.
And the library was gonna be in the fire station,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
the
Mhm.
town offices were gonna be in the police station.
Yeah.
But then there was a holdup, and so all of a sudden the plan changed and Whitney Hall went first, but then fortunately, there was, where are we gonna go? The Shaker Museum bought the La Salette property, and that worked out
That
very
worked out
well.
really good.
Yeah. So
Very
that was
fortunate.
nice.
Do you know how we're doing budget wise on the buildings?
On track.
Yeah,
We're on
we
track.
were over on Whitney Hall, but because of the condition it's in, much better condition,
Mhm.
we're not now. This one.
Because you always build in contingency funds when you
Sure.
think there's
Yeah.
a possibility, and then with the rising costs, like, we went to the vote with
2
the
years ago.
estimate from, yeah, which is hard, because you don't just up your estimate, and the select board committed to building for that dollar amount. And I feel pretty strongly that, you know, you have to really stick to it. The elevator, I feel like we can manage as a capital expense if we have to, because that's a choice, like it was kind of an
It's an
option.
important feature.
I think it is, but you know, it's, you know, and there was a mention at one point, like, do we keep, I was like, no, on the old windows. That's my personal belief. Like you don't.
No,
So,
no.
and we have gotten in trouble around this area over the years, cutting back on buildings. This building is a prime example. Not having the eaves done correctly, not doing the installation. So I think that our team is doing a really good job making some hard decisions without cutting things that are going to affect the functionality. And, you know,
So
they've
the library is gonna be 3 or 4 floors?
one.
One.
Yeah.
The library only occupies one floor, the idea being
Go
that
out
the
into
staffing,
The new can.
yeah, and then goes into the new. Yep.
Okay,
And the idea is that it's a lot easier and it's a lot safer to have all of your staff and all of your collection on one floor.
You
okay,
have to have more staff. if you have
okay.
to-
But then the elevator is for the remainder of,
The elevator goes to the library and upstairs into Whitney Hall, Whitney Hall is the name of the auditorium area.
okay.
That's the technical name of it. We think of it as the building, but that's actually that space.
Yeah.
And so that will be a large meeting room, some small meeting rooms, some storage. And so you'll see that these meetings go there.
Mhm.
And so it'll be outfitted for a more modern set of meetings and a space. Yep. I'm hoping it will get a lot of use.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's been hard to use, but there were other good pieces of news, like the balcony is stable. We were always told it wasn't stable and it was leaning, but actually the lean is part of, it's the cantilever. It's part of the construction design and the construction company was very pleased with it. Whereas for years we were told, oh, it's not safe. It's not that it's not safe. It doesn't have adequate height. So for someone who's short like me, it's fabulous. But you just, you know, it's something that we'll use for storage, but there just won't be people up there,
Mhm.
right? Also, it's different now. You don't put people with a sidewall this high, right? Because you can easily fall over. So it's just things
Yeah.
that are, you know, building code and safety features. But I think we've been really very fortunate, you know, and the crazy thing is when you looked into the walls, those, the boards are all one board on a lot of, it's like crazy amount of height for a
Mm.
single board. But back then, the trees, the growth, right, the rings are a lot closer together, so they're a lot stronger. So it's pretty cool to see
Mm.
what they did with the materials they had and how well it's lasted compared to what you could open it up and it could be a mess.
Yeah.
And there were less dead birds than we thought. So we've had a bird issue going up in the soffit, so that's all being
What
taken.
about squirrels and mice and stuff?
I mean, yeah, that's an old building that's always, but it's better than we
Yeah.
Mhm.
better
They
than we
did find
thought.
one place where you could see outside.
Yes,
Yeah.
And that explains
some of it, yeah.
why they had to come every 3 days with oil.
The heating.
Heating. Oh, yeah, no, it's
Insane.
been,
That was
in-
insane.
it's gonna be nice, and I really hope our total cost of ownership is on that piece at least significantly lower. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you guys too, Mascoma Lakeside Park dedication is October 5th. And I think it's at, yeah, is it? Do you remember if it's at 2 p.m. Shirley? Of course, it doesn't say on here.
I was just there yesterday talking.
Hang on, oh, I was saying, one of us has gotta have this.
It's on my notes at home.
I'm sorry, hang on. It's 2 p.m., yep. Got it on my calendar, I use my extendo arms. Yeah, 2 p.m., so that's upcoming and very exciting. So if you guys have a chance to make it, it's a great opportunity to be in the park and celebrate all of their hard work together. Lots of good stuff.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
It's a good report.
Way too long, sorry, guys.
Let's see, where are we here? We've talked about old there really isn't any old business. We mentioned about the Jay's photo being, the photo of the hike was in the town newsletter.
It's very-
And I was gonna ask him for an update on what he's planning for school programs, but he wasn't able to make it tonight. But anyone else have any old business? Or new business? to bring? And then, we got our correspondence. There wasn't anything, I went over these, and there wasn't anything here that, any applications that we need to address. So I didn't make any. Two of them are just, people had, made the changes that they needed to make, that DES had requested. And, the others are nothing to do with anything we need to address.
You know what I didn't mention, Shirley? I should have. I was just writing a note to Patty. Patty Freed is looking for volunteers to help water the trees at
Yes.
Lakeside Park, if anybody happens to have a little bit of time. We aren't in a drought by any means, but you can tell it's a little drier than usual, and just they put jackets on the trees. They've done a really nice job keeping them from being stressed, because they went in at the time of the year that was really, really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you happen to have, or you know of anybody who's like, hey, I'm looking for a little project, email Patty Freed. If you don't have Patty's email, either Shirley or
Yeah,
I can
I
give it
do.
to you. Yeah.
Cause it takes a lot of water in any conditions
Yeah.
for new trees. We had 2 new trees put in that were identical a few years ago. One was in a place where it was easy to water,
Mhm.
the other wasn't. It ran off.
Mhm.
The one that was in a place that's easy to water is now 3 times the size of the other one.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the other one doesn't look as healthy either.
Yeah.
But, makes a big difference. Cause we could just put the hose right there and leave it there for that.
I will tell you, I learned something really interesting about the plantings at Lakeside Park, because I had questions from folks about whether they followed the plan. And so they are geared towards, as they grow, they're set to grow at different speeds, so they will leave
Okay.
views of the skyline and the lake open, and that is by design. So if you see different sizes, it's intentional, so that they will start to take up and fill out their space at a different rate. And I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, I did, one thing I got on here too. We can think about this too, cause we can talk about it again next, but, I think we should do trunk or treat.
Oh, I love
What do
it.
you I don't know if you've seen it, it's, all different organizations. Has anyone been to it? No?
Yes, many
Yeah,
times
me too.
since
I
we, yeah.
thought, I'm gonna miss it this year.
Oh.
Then I said, oh, the Conservation Commission can do it. I'll be there. But it's a Halloween thing where different organizations just have the back of their vehicle
Mhm.
is open. You decorate, and for your, like,
Mhm.
we could do a wild theme with wildlife.
Last year, Ed, our town manager, did, was that last year he had Red
Yeah.
Riding Hood? And he made his dog the big bad wolf, and it was hilarious. And the dog wore glasses. I was like, wow.
And
So I feel like we're not gonna beat that, but yeah, some kind of.
I mean, we could be a tree, or we could be a bear, too.
Yeah.
We could do all kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
But they have over 600, I was reading,
Yep, 600.
over 600 kids came last year.
Wow.
So it's a great place to be out there in the community to, participate.
And the fire department and all of public safety does it. It's a really nice time. We used to do it at the Lutheran church, and it got bigger and bigger, and it's been a
The
good
library
handoff to
does
the
it.
town.
There's lots of groups.
Yeah.
That do it, and
Yeah.
I think we should join them. What do you think?
So where is this located? Is it like?
It's at
It's
Hughes
in
Park,
Hughes
right
Park.
on the field.
Oh, okay,
We're in a great big circle.
okay.
It's a safe place, for kids and their families all
Mhm.
come all
Mhm.
dressed up for Halloween
Yeah.
and just go from car to car. You must
Pretty
take your
fun.
kids there with you.
Yeah, they have a lot of fun.
It's
They have games and all kinds of stuff.
And your
It's
kids
nice.
are very safe because they're set back from the road, and like somebody will snag them if they run because it's Enfield. You're like, oh, come with me. So it's a pretty fun. They just walk around and kind of it's
But
honestly
there
a lot
must
of fun.
be 25 or 30 different organizations that
It's
do
a lot.
this. A
Yeah.
lot of them. It fills the whole
I mean,
ballpark.
I've done it
area.
every year except
Yeah.
for the 2 years during COVID that we decided it wasn't safe, but
Yeah.
yeah. And there's all sorts of things. There's activities. One year not for the town, but I gave out those slap bracelets. It was like color your own. So
Yeah.
you could do a conservation themed.
Yes,
something
we
or other.
can think of something.
Yeah.
Honestly, those wooden pencils that are hilarious might be fun. You'd have to order
What
in
are they
advance. But, have you ever seen the pencils that look like trees?
Oh, yes,
Like, I'm just saying, like, but some people give out non-candy treats,
yes.
Um,
Yeah, that would be good.
or. I don't know.
Yeah, we have you know, 6 weeks to think about it. So what do you think? What do you think about
That's
that?
good. That sounds like a great idea. I'd love to do that.
Great.
I can help you plan, but I'm in another booth. Shocker. Or probably
That's
one or
right.
two, right?
Yeah.
I'm always in another
But
booth.
that's the thing, when you get all these community things together, you're bound to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But, no, I was the one that brought the kids there now, and I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna miss that, but I said,
I'll loan you one.
we should do
I got an extra one who won't want to hang out with me. She got sick of
that.
dancing.
She got that age.
No, she was dancing in the T-Rex costume last year when it was too hot, and then it
Oh, gee.
last. Cause we had like a large T-Rex and a little T-Rex. Ooh, we could make that our theme. We could borrow the T-Rex and be like, if you weren't nice to the environment, you end up like this guy.
Hmm.
Or is that Tumaros for Halloween? I don't know.
I know, we can think of ways. you know,
Protect this tree or you end up like this guy.
Yes. Yeah, that made me think of a good book I had. That sometimes if anyone's reading, kids, this is a good one. Trout are made of treats.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a really good one. And this one is to a friend gave it to me. It's all about naturally curious, a photographic field guide to all the fields, woods and marshes of New England.
oh, cool.
Yeah,
wow.
if anyone who wants to borrow it, you're welcome to.
That
So,
might be a good one.
if there's no, I don't think I got anything else on here. Does anyone else have something they'd like to bring up? Can,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to
I'll
adjourn.
make that motion,
Yeah.
even though I was late.
Way to put that in, it's too brief.
Oh,
Oh, it's going in.
That's
It's
right.
gonna say the
No,
time I come.
Oh, really?
you
Oh, yeah.
came, Kate, you came after, you know Jean.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are so happy to have you here in person.
Yes.
All right, so,
I need a
did someone
motion.
second that motion? Second.
Okay.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
So we have to do a roll call one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Kate, yes. Okay.
Carol?
Yes.
Jean Bobrowski Henshaw, aye.
Shirley Green, yes.
Tom Claus,
Ed Rippey, aye.
Kate Plumley Stewart, aye.
Perfect.
Look at us go.
Recording's going off.
Right.
okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.